Yeah.
I mean, they could have had Nookie in the car on their way there while they were bringing the leftovers to
I'm
get
dead.
away.
Jamie's
Jamie
face.
did not-
I
For those
fucking
listening,
hated that you said that so deeply. That might be the most disturbing thing compared to this movie.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid. See dead people.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
and I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie,
And Nikisha.
where we share our love for spooky things and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Well, welcome everyone.
And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Pass the cranberry sauce. We're having mashed potatoes. Ooh, the turkey looks great. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for being there.
Wait, what
It's
is
from
that?
Bob's Burgers. I was
Thank
like,
you,
Oh,
Jamie. I was like,
yeah.
if
You're
y'all don't
turning
know
in
that.
Ryan's face, and I was like, oh, I know what this is. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am familiar with this song.
Thank you. It is the famous Bob's Burgers song from their first ever Thanksgiving episode that they did in the TV series. And it's Linda making up her own little Thanksgiving little ditty. So there's that for those Bob Burgers fans. But yes, happy Thanksgiving. Even though it is Thanksgiving, we are still going through all of the horror, all of the slashers, all of the everything gore, because this is a year-round horror podcast. But today is very special because Thanksgiving and horror are related. Today, we're talking about the 2023 slasher film, Thanksgiving. Woohoo! Served on a platter for
There
you.
you go. Eat up. Yum, yum, yum.
Eat it. Woohoo. So this film is directed by Eli Roth, who, if you don't know, he directed Cabin Fever and Hostel. And it is from a screenplay by Jeff Rindle and a story by Roth and Rindle. And it is based off of Eli Roth's mock trailer of the same name that came out in 2007 on from Grindhouse. So this film stars one Patrick Dempsey and Mr. McDreamy, Addison Rae, Milo Manham, Jalen Thomas Brooks, Nell Verlack, Rick Hoffman, and Gina Gershon. And fun fact, Eli Roth is most known for what is called splatter films, which is a subgenre of horror that focuses on the portrayal of gore and violence. Did y'all know about splatter films? I did not.
No, I guess I thought it was just like gore porn. But
Which is
now
what- I guess that's true.
They gave it a
That just-
legitimized subgenre since when?
That
It's
just
it has a
sounds
wiki
like
page.
a fancy name for gore porn. That's
Yeah.
like the elevated horror.
That's the
name for
elevated.
gore
Yeah, that's
porn.
exactly
okay.
what that is. That's so, I'm gonna continue to call it gore porn.
Fabulous. Well, yeah, I mean, it has its own wiki page, so I was like, oh, it must be factual. It must be true.
Yeah.
Great. So, heavy spoilers for the 2023 movie Thanksgiving. And Jamie, there's a lot of trigger warnings, so let's run them down.
This is an insides on the outside times 1,000. So if again, as we just talked about, splatter, horror, or gore porn. I mean,
Gore
if you
porn.
know Eli Roth's previous works, then you're familiar with insides on the outside. So lots of blood, lots of body parts, guts, people being cooked, people being their head turned around, guns, knives, sex, drugs, no rock and roll.
No rock and roll. Surprising.
No rock and roll. A very disturbing Black Friday, or I guess it's actually Thanksgiving sale. But again, like, I mean, like, you know, the realities of having to work on a holiday, capitalism, Murder, more murder, 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 murder.
Murder, schmurder, murder. All the murdering. Yes.
Did I miss anything? Did I miss any murdering?
I don't think so. Brian?
No, it's I don't know. Like if you don't like people in
Infanticide?
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
It might be a stretch, but
yes. I don't know if people in ovens are triggering to you. This might not be it.
I did think about that.
I always
definitely
do.
thought about that.
I will always think about that, no
Yeah.
matter what.
People in ovens. Oh, but Jamie, I think there is rock and roll because isn't that weird guy that's selling?
Oh, there is rock
He's
and
playing
roll.
it on the
rock and roll on the float.
Exactly.
That was me playing the guitar. For those who are listening, that was
Oh,
my
interesting,
perfect
interesting.
guitar playing.
That was great. Fantastic. Well, before we get into everything that is Thanksgiving with all of the mains and the side dishes, producer Brian, do you have some words for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody. Hi, YouTube. We are so happy that we could be celebrating Thanksgiving with this movie. But if you wanted more content from us, you can find us on social media at Talk Horror Pod. We're on TikTok, we're on X, Twitter. We're also on Instagram. So follow us on all of those social media platforms. The rest of this year, we're going to try to catch up on some of the bigger movies that came out during the strike that we didn't cover. We're going to be doing things like Saw X and some other movies, so stay tuned. And then we've got a real fun Christmas special for you. And then we're going to jump into next year with some awesome ones coming out. I think we might do Imaginary, Night Swim earlier in the year. So there's some really, really fun stuff. We will definitely be doing Lisa Frankenstein. That is even if it's terrible, which it better not be, we will 100% be covering that. But yeah, stick with us, subscribe to us on social media, and then wherever you get podcasts. And we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Do you guys have any like special traditions you do on Thanksgiving, or like are you guys going to cook? Are you going to family?
So we're going to family, but the last couple of years, Jamie and I have been making our own stuffing, and that's like our thing that we do now, I guess.
Ooh.
And it's delicious.
I love that.
It
Do you
is
guys
really
put
good.
meat in your stuffing or no?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Like
Is that
maybe
an
it's a
option?
Is that a thing?
yes. Maybe it's a Black cultural thing, but people put gizzards in their stuffing.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
like that, like the fatty parts to like make it a little bit more like instead of using butter or in addition to butter, use like the gizzards and stuff like that.
Yeah, but also as just like a
make
meat
it
component. Yeah,
interesting.
to it. Yeah,
Cool.
which is like really wild,
Ours-
but
Well, ours has leeks in it, so we couldn't be any more bougie.
fancy. That is the epitome of millennial bouge. Is that?
It's really good though. It's
It
like
is really
really,
good.
really good.
I believe it. I'll come over next year when I'm off the road. But Hamilton provides us wherever we're at. They have like a restaurant cater for us. So I guess that's
Oh,
also
that's
kind of
nice.
bougie. Like I don't have to cook myself. It's like just show up at this place and you get free food and booze. It's like
Sounds great.
great.
That's
and what's
wonderful.
the address for those interested?
Right.
Just
I'll send you a
send me
to-go
that
plate.
invite.
Fantastic. Have you guys watched anything new this week?
Yeah, actually, we finished on Hulu and Disney Plus. We finished the Goosebumps season 1, the TV show.
Nice. How was it?
It was great.
It was really fun.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I was having a good time.
Nice.
Yeah, I think where it succeeds for me is that it really captures the teenage melodrama that and camp that the books always conveyed.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be not great for some people, but for me, it definitely was nice, nostalgic, but also it was new. There was a new
Yeah.
twist to all of the Goosebumps stories that they kind of weave together. Um, I was less interested in the teenage drama and like the love triangle stuff that was happening between the teenagers than I was in like all of them working together to try and defeat whatever's happening. To me, that was
Right.
way more engaging than the other stuff. However, it wasn't bad that I couldn't watch it. It was just like I was like, come on, get to the other stuff.
Mm.
But overall, the special effects were, I would say, 90% of the time really good.
Okay.
There was only really one episode where it was underwhelming. Um, but I thought the acting was really good. I thought all the kids, or they're probably not children, but like all the teenagers, the young actors, I'll say, were
Hmm.
wildly charming. Justin Long, A plus, always.
Yay. Oh,
Uh,
Justin.
yeah, I really dug it. And I think my expectations were really low. Therefore, this as a surprise was like really fun. And we every Friday we were excited for the new one to come out.
Nice. How many episodes total are there?
10.
10?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
10.
Great. I'll have
Um,
to revisit.
yeah, it's definitely worth it. I would definitely suggest it. And then Jamie and I last night started something very exciting.
Oh.
Uh, it's not horror related. I mean, actually, it's sort of horror related based on the director.
Okay.
But Jamie, what did we start watching last night?
Oh.
We started watching The Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings.
Obsessed.
The what is it? The
The extended versions.
version.
Okay. How long is that?
The first movie is 4 hours.
Yeah.
Stop it.
No, that's
Yeah.
real.
That's the way to
Okay.
watch them.
Have you both?
So I've never seen
Okay, great. Yeah.
them. I've only seen the third one. I know it doesn't make any sense. It was like, you know, when you're younger, like you're in high school and your friend has a date, but they don't want to go to the movie theaters alone. So they're like, can you guys just come to the movies and like sit
Yes.
in another row? It's like, that's why I saw the third Lord of the Rings movie, Return of the King. I had no idea what was going on because I missed the first two movies. They're both like 3 hours long. So I missed 6 hours plus of context and then stroll into this thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I
Love
remember
that.
it being like fine, but I had no idea what was going on. So,
Yeah.
so Brian was like, you're really going to know what's going on because get ready for 4 hours of walking.
Did y'all do this in one sitting? Did you break it up like two and two?
We only got like an hour in. This is gonna take like a week plus. I mean, what better than Thanksgiving week when like things are slower,
Right.
time off, more
Yes.
time to catch up on walking. So yeah.
Yeah, it's dense. There's a lot.
Please.
There's a lot of explaining. I've seen these many times.
Okay.
I will say I love the movies more than I love like Lord of the Rings, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like a Tolkien fiend. I don't like know all the stuff, but I know the
Okay.
movies well and I love the movies. I think from a theatrical event and standpoint, they're truly magic from like a movie making standpoint, and then from just like a release every year. And then on top of that, the quality of them is excellent. It's not like you're watching some schlock that like you just keep going because you love the IP. Like
Mhm.
they're just so well made and well acted. And I think there's an argument to be made that it is the greatest adaptation of all time of something that like is very dense and hard to adapt. And I think that universally it is agreed that like the changes that they made, while all not perfect, serve the narrative that they were doing. And even the 4 hour cuts of each movie, the ones we're watching now, doesn't necessarily like it doesn't add subplots. It
Okay.
adds context to the world. You know what I mean? Like it's these some of the scenes are a little bit longer. Some of the relationships, they have another scene just to strengthen certain relationships, but it's not adding these wild subplots that all of a sudden like mess with the flow or the pace of the movie.
Right.
If that makes sense. And I think that's very rewarding when you watch them. And the reason I wanted to watch the extended versions is like if we watched the theatrical cuts, they would have been amazing. But also then like we we're not gonna like rewatch them like in a couple months. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
for
like
sure.
they
Absolutely.
take up so much time, and we got it, we understood it, we got what we needed from them. So I figured like also let's just like do the extended cuts
Just do a deep dive
and
into
just do
it.
a deep dive.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's been Lord of the Rings corner. But I'm excited. I haven't seen them in a while, so but also, you know, Peter Jackson, famous gory horror director once upon a time. So
Hmm.
you know, that's the connection, very thinly connected.
But it's a degree of separation, you know? You're
Yeah,
like, you got it.
exactly.
It's close. Well, y'all keep us updated on that and how long it takes you to do that. Because how many movies are there? Are there 3, 4?
It's 3. I'm
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
assuming they're
only
all
watching them.
4-ish hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
four plus. Um,
Godspeed.
we're only watching those 3. We're not gonna watch the Hobbit movies. Maybe if we wanted to later on, but like, it's
Like,
not.
you're like,
Those are not
maybe we
nearly
can
as
watch
good.
them. We don't
No,
have
no,
to.
we don't have to watch those.
Yes.
Those we definitely don't have to watch. But these are they're pretty great.
Amazing. Yes, please keep us updated on your Lord of the Rings corner. And it'll
Will
be
do. Will do.
fantastic. Grand. Well, let's get into why we're all here. The table is set. Thanksgiving. Brian, you have to do a plot summary of
Oh,
this.
yes.
Oh, right.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
What's the plot?
Okay. So, let's
Okay.
do a plot summary of
Thanksgiving.
of Thanksgiving. All right. You let me know 2 minutes on the clock and I'm ready to go.
All right. 2 minutes are on the clock. Ready? Steady. What's this movie about? Go.
Sure. So Thanksgiving takes place in the current times. It takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts. On Thanksgiving, a man is called to work at the local like Walmart, you know, stand-in. Basically, there is a riot. It just gets really out of control at the um, at the was it the Right Mart, whatever they called it. And a couple of people die. One of them is the security guard. One of them is the wife of the manager of the store. Um, a very up and coming baseball player, like in the community, who was gonna like go to college and play, like breaks his arm like severely. The daughter of the owner of the store is there. Everybody, basically, the whole town is there, and everyone's a little bit at fault for what happened that night. Anyway, flash forward to a year later, somebody dressed up as John Carver, who was the first mayor of Plymouth or something like that, is dressing up like that and killing everybody who had something to do with why all of that went wrong. The sheriff, played by McDreamy, is trying to figure all of this out. The daughter of the guy who owns the store is helping him with like the things she knows about like the missing footage and all of that stuff. So he kills everybody throughout this, and it's like they're both gory and hilarious, and they're wonderful. And we'll talk about all the kills later in this episode. Um, but in the end, he ends up kidnapping all of like her friends and that group. And it is revealed that McDreamy is the killer because he was in love with the woman who died. She was going to leave the husband as she was pregnant with his kid. And in the end, they kill him, but his body wasn't found.
Ooh. Yes, and then that
Um,
final dream jump scare of him in the closet,
Mhm.
hilarious.
oh, yeah.
Uh,
I obviously missed some things like the subplots with her friends, the subplot with what's happening with like the parties, that she has a stepmom that she's really not into, that her mom is kind of missing, not missing, dead. Um, and there's also a whole subplot about like her ex-boyfriend and her new boyfriend, and basically all of these subplots are to set up all of the red herrings,
mhm.
which are her current boyfriend Ryan, her ex-boyfriend Bobby, who ghosted her after his arm was broken at the store. So all of that comes to a head when they're all kidnapped essentially and put around the Thanksgiving table And we'll get into all that.
And that's the plot.
Fantastic. All right. Well, first segment up is likes and gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
Who would like to start for likes and gripes?
Jamie,
It's
why
all
don't
of our
you
first
start?
time seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is all our first time seeing this film as it just came out.
Yes.
So I will preface this with in 2007 Grindhouse came out and I was fucking obsessed with Grindhouse. Specifically, I was obsessed with Planet Terror and all of the fake trailers that were in Grindhouse.
Sure.
And I don't really care for Death Proof.
Okay.
But either way, was obsessed, like, maybe my whole personality, whatever. So very invested in all of the fake trailers and the ones that have like turned into stuff, which I guess is really only one before Thanksgiving. So I know we watched the trailer all together before. Nikisha, have you seen Grindhouse?
I have not.
Okay.
Oh.
So I will give you some context then.
Please.
So when you see Grindhouse in movie theaters, they play some of the fake trailers before the first movie, which was Planet Terror, which was Robert Rodriguez's movie.
Oh, like Tropic Thunder.
Yes, but then you watch this full movie, and then there's like another like intermission of fake trailers because there's a second movie. Like this is you're sitting in the movie theater for an actual double feature, which like I think that also was very appealing to me because I'd never seen a double feature ever. Like I've never even gone to the movie theaters twice in one day to like see two different movies, which I know is like a normal experience. So like this just was like very formative for me and was very exciting for me. So if you're familiar with Machete, that was like one of the other it was a fake trailer from the Grindhouse movies that they then turned into a full feature with Danny Trejo, who was in the fake trailer, and then they also cast him in that lead role.
Sure.
So anyway, so a lot of these other trailers, so there's Machete, there was Werewolf Woman of the SS, which was Rob Zombie's fake trailer. And I think Nicolas Cage was in it as Fu Manchu. Good stuff. Then Edgar Wright did Don't, which was like the 70s style of like, don't open the door, don't open the window. That's also a really good trailer. Then you have Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, which was like very Black Christmassy. And we'll talk. I want to talk all about it. I'm like being super low key about this, but I'm like deeply excited about this because, like I said, like Grindhouse had such an impact on me when I saw it, and like it was super formative in 2007 because I graduated from high school and was going to college, so like identity formation, movies that like had a big impact on me. So like this was a big deal to me. Some Thanksgiving, and then the last one was Hobo with a Shotgun. But I don't remember who made that one. So those were the fake trailers, and then now two of them have since become feature-length films. So the Thanksgiving trailer, as we watched it earlier, is like that 70s slasher. It's like super grimy, and like most of like all of the things that were featured had that like same type of like I would say like they all kind of were like 70s exploitation, like that was the aesthetic, and that was like all of the trailers had that, the two features had that, so like that was the vibe. So when this trailer dropped for the actual feature for Thanksgiving 2023, I kind of was hesitant and worried because it was updated, it was contemporary, it did not have the same vibe. It copied some of the beats from the original trailer, but it's its own thing, I feel like. in some ways. So I was definitely really worried that like it just wouldn't deliver. But I gotta say, now that I've finally gotten to my point, I loved this movie. I had a
Mhm.
great time. It's so fun. And it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to have that same 70s exploitation like aesthetic for it to still be good. It was really fun and still like it really commit to the campy like holiday bit super consistently throughout the whole thing.
Mhm.
And this feels like a huge Eli Roth comeback. I'm very excited because I'm not a gore porn person or whatever we're calling it,
Splatter films.
fancy splatter.
Fancy
It's
splatter.
like like that genre, that subgenre is like not really appealing to me, and I find that I'm becoming more squeamish as I get older, weirdly. I mean, I guess that's not weird, but I'm having a harder time handling like certain levels of gore unless it's like this was less problematic for me because it's so over the top. And there's, for me, I think there's this fine line of like over the top gore versus like just gore for gore's sake, where it's just like in your face, like we're slashing Achilles tendons left and right, and I'm like, not for me, I'm good.
Right, sure.
So uh so I was watching that like opening scene at the store. I was shocked. Like I think my mouth was agape. Like it's super intense. And I do have to say that I feel like it's like this whole movie is contingent on like this opening scene being super effective. And I think it is. I think it
Mhm.
totally delivers. I think like the intensity of the gore and like how like some of these kills happen. That poor guy who like gets shoved into the store and like gets his throat sliced and is still going, like you still have it's like perfect between the comedy and the horror. He's still grabbing like the 109.99 microwave whatever that he's like trying to get.
The waffle iron, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that what it
waffle
was?
iron, that's what it was. And then you have like the guy that gets trampled, the security guard who gets trampled, and is just still like like he's like reacting to like continuously being trampled for like this whole opening scene.
Mhm.
This the poor woman, the wife of the store manager who gets trampled, and then like her hair gets caught in the shopping cart and she gets like partially scalped. It's all fucking insane, but it's so well done and so entertaining and done practically. Again, I do love the practical effects, and like it really, I think that's another element of why this movie is so good, is just like the gore is it's not all, I mean there's some like CGI oozing here and there, but like they really tried to do a good amount of practical effects that I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the the practical effects in this are spectacular, and I think we talked about it with a couple other recent movies, that if it had been, oh, Five Nights at Freddy's was one. If that wasn't
Mhm.
practical effects, that movie would have been. I mean, if that all of that was CGI, no, thank you. Same thing
Yeah.
with this. It's the practical effects that make this movie in some ways.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the practical effects, I mean, I haven't seen Five Nights at Freddy yet. I will. But the practical effects in this, well, first off, I just want to say that I didn't realize how campy this movie was going to be,
Oh, interesting.
only because I found out about the 2007 trailer after I saw the movie.
Mhm.
And the actual trailer for this 2023 Thanksgiving movie, it didn't seem like it was serious, because like a horror movie set in Thanksgiving is not going to be, nobody's trying to make that serious, right?
Sure.
But to an extent, it looked like it was going to take itself a little serious. So as the movie was going on, I realized, oh wait, no, this is just going to be pure camp. And I was like, okay, well now I'm all in. And even with like the first death of the lady who worked at the diner, and
Yeah.
her getting sliced in half by the fucking trash can, But it was when one of the kids, and maybe it was Bobby or one of them, was just like, yeah, we got to protect ourselves so that we're not the ones getting being 50% off or whatever that comment was.
So that's my quote. So my quote I have is, if we let the police handle this, we're all going to be 50% off.
And at that moment, I was like, this is genius. This is great.
So that's actually one of my major likes about this movie is its ability to balance camp, seriousness, humor, and the gore and all of that. And I don't feel like one of them ever like leads the way in some ways. I think it's all really well done, and so that the tone is super consistent even though it's doing all of these things. And I think that I almost think that is the that's the magic of this movie, that they can keep that tone with all those things happening all at once. And any little flaw, and we'll talk about gripes as well, is totally overshadowed or washed away by the fact that like all of these different tones are working together to create one like consistent one across the board.
Absolutely. And just to add to that tone, even just the different kinds of tropes that are happening in the movie, like how is the killer all these places at once sometimes? You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
when you find out who it is, which reminded me of a conversation. I don't know what we were talking about, but we were talking about like knowing who the killer was because they were like the biggest name in the movie. Tell me.
Jamie, go for it.
I guessed that Patrick Dempsey was the killer in like the first 5 minutes. And whispered it to Brian. I think that moving forward, if it's a whodunit like horror, we should like lock in our guesses. Like
we should
write them down.
Yes.
Something going into it, because I feel like we're on the hot streak right now, or at least I'm on the hot streak. I'm feeling really good about it.
You are.
But I will say, Jamie didn't tell the full story. What she actually whispered to me was that she said it's the sheriff because Patrick Dempsey's the most famous person in this.
Yes.
That's
I think
what
I
she
said because McDreamy is famous.
Yeah, that's also
But
what
that
she said.
made sense. Like as the movie was going on, I was thinking, oh yeah, it has to be because Patrick is the biggest name in this.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yes, because I remember us having a conversation on this podcast about, I don't know what movie, but it was the same thing.
I don't remember either.
It was literally
Maybe
like
Scream
the most
6?
famous person.
I don't remember. But
yeah.
Yeah. And also like all the other red herrings were so red. Like bright red.
Right. Bobby and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. I didn't mind any of that. Yeah, Ryan, I think his name was.
Ryan.
But yeah, what'd you say?
Just other boyfriends.
Oh, other boyfriend.
Yeah.
All of that was like really like out there, like for us to think that like potentially that was who it was. And the sheriff was never a suspect. And the second that she's pointing out people and who they are in the footage, I leaned over to Jamie and I was like, oh, she's helping him. And then he literally says like, I couldn't have done this without you. And we both looked at each other like, da da da, like da 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 da, you know, like. But I will say, some movies, if you know who did it beforehand, the movie's no good. This is not the case.
Right.
Like this was still wildly entertaining, even though we didn't know officially yet, like the mystery was still engaging enough that like, well, maybe it isn't. And we're second guessing ourselves, even though we didn't.
Yes. No, I agree. And the only thing that was like, oh, duh, yeah, it's Patrick, is because at the very beginning of the movie, when he is going over the manager's house and is talking to the wife, and whatever the wife was saying, I was like, she's talking very weird to this sheriff. Like, is this just bad writing, or is it because there's something underneath it?
That's what I said. I said
the same exact thing.
I said, you know what? There was some weird chemistry. The lines were weird. They spent a little bit too long lingering around each other. And I honestly just, like a fucking idiot, I brushed it off. because
Same.
I was
what
like,
they want you to do.
I know. I was like, this is the opening scene, but I also don't know what the tone is yet, and I don't know if
Right.
like he's like a bachelor who flirts with all the gals in town. Maybe because we haven't established his character just yet, you're kind of figuring it out. So like that doesn't feel out of place in the same way that it would have felt out of place 2 more scenes in. One.
Exactly.
And then 2, he makes the comment in that first scene where he's like, I know my way around a
single
kitchen.
guy.
As a single guy, I know my way around a kitchen. So like when he's cooking everything and when he's basting the stepmom and all of that stuff, like that was another clue, obviously. But I thought the same thing, Nikisha. And I told Jamie when it was over, I was like, I have to listen to my gut more in those like opening sequences, because a well-made horror movie, those things are not an accident. But we've seen so many bad horror movies where like like those things are an accident. You know what I mean?
Which is why I was like, okay, I mean, like I wasn't going in thinking like much about this movie, but I knew that a lot of people were responding positively to it on social media.
Sure.
But again, I was just like, oh, this just might be like bad writing or bad acting. Like, I don't know, but this is all just feels like so fucking weird. But it's because they were together, which makes it even more better. The fact that we still got duped, Brian, even though
I got, and then Jamie had to pull me back in.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah. That was totally. But then you also think, because then, you know what actually undercuts that? The fact that she went to the store to give him leftovers. Like,
yes.
If they, in my head, like if they were together, wouldn't they use the opportunity of him going to the store to like, do some more
together,
nookie?
do something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. So
Wasn't
that's
like
what
her
threw me
whole
off.
family there or something.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had Nookie in the car on their way there while they were bringing the leftovers to get away.
I do have to mention Jamie's face.
I
for those listening,
fucking hated that you said that so deeply. That might be the most disturbing thing compared to this movie.
I am obsessed. Jamie is not for Nookie in the car from Brian. So just put that.
I don't think I've ever used that term before.
No, you literally never uttered that phrase ever, which is why I was repulsed by it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually said that word except for like singing along to a Limp Bizkit song.
Ooh, you did it all for the fantastic.
For the Thanksgiving leftovers.
Thanksgiving leftovers.
Oh my God.
Well, speaking, I do want to bring back to the point because first off, Brian, I didn't even put fucking two and two together of him. Like, yeah, I'm good around the house, and then like him, basting Kathleen or whatever the stepmom's name is, and
right.
But I do have to share an experience in the movie theater because there was quite a few people. I saw it on a Sunday night, and there were quite a few people at the movie. And it was the minute that he started basting or putting like butter on her legs and like seasoning her, like you could just tell the whole audience was kind of like, what the fuck is happening? But then everyone just started erupting in nervous laughter at that moment.
So funny. Yeah.
And it was just like even before some of the deaths, people were like, I don't know how to feel about this. I myself was laughing at every single death that was happening out loud. But by the time we got to him actually like seasoning the stepmom and getting her ready, like I think everyone then was on board of like, it's okay to laugh at this. Like this is supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be wild and crazy and all this stuff. But it was just a shared experience of everyone just being collectively like letting out the nervous laugh.
People erupted in laughter when the garbage closed on her and cut her in half.
Really?
Oh yeah, because that whole opening sequence, that whole murder sequence was like pretty intense. And then and then all of a sudden it ends in this big laugh, which I think was like a really great entryway into like each kill, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
No, I
we
love that.
hijacked some of this from Jamie's likes.
Oh,
It's
yes,
okay.
yes. Go, sorry. Go ahead,
But
Jamie.
all of these things are true. But no, I also thought that Patrick Dempsey like was a good villain. Like he did a really good job. And yeah, just like his delivery and kind of the switch at the end when like he looks down at his boot and was like, if you were just hanging on there for like one more second, like it was like he delivered like a creepy performance. His accent made me laugh several times.
It was great. I think that enhanced the movie like
Yes.
tenfold.
I do
Absolutely.
like they really commit to the accents, and it made me laugh. Also the sequence in the beginning when everyone's just yelling "fuck you" to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
in their Massachusetts accents, did make me laugh. I know maybe cursing doesn't make everyone laugh, but it does make me laugh most of the time.
Yeah.
One thought that I had, and I said to Brian after, please don't come for me. I am a happy resident of my state, but if this movie wasn't necessarily like about taking place in Plymouth, Massachusetts, I was like, this could take place in Pennsylvania. I would believe that this was also in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. I agree.
But I think that's kind of the charm of it too. Like this really could have been any small town in a where like everything is close and then one crazy thing happens or whatnot. Like with whatever accent of that region is like they're like obviously made more fun that this is Plymouth because of obviously the Thanksgiving holiday, but like 100% could have been anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say my biggest gripe isn't really a huge gripe. It's more about like when we talk about the 4 S's and skulls and things like that. But like the characters don't always make good decisions. And like that just frustrates me as like a person watching this, like scrutinizing, like, would I do this in this situation? Like I'm thinking about that a lot in most of the movies that I'm watching.
For sure.
But I'm just like, is anybody really this stupid? But I think that they kind of like, again, the characters really commit to it. It's more of like, spoilers for Cabin in the Woods, but like when those characters are acting very stupid, that's what this reminded me of. It's like taking the trope of like, like people aren't making the best decisions. They're all going to like, they're in danger, but they're still somehow by themselves all the time. They're still like having sex in weird places and like just making the wrong choice. And sometimes it bothers me because I'm like, that doesn't feel real. But again, I think that the characters are like committed enough to who they are that you're like, okay, maybe this person really is stupid. And that's really what they would do. And I guess I have to be okay with that. So
yeah, I think on that note, I agree, but I also think that the writing was pretty strong in this and the acting was strong. So a lot of the dumb things they did felt within the characters and at least justified by the actors. Man, we've watched some what did we watch? Haunt maybe? We watched some movies where like characters were just like doing crazy things that I don't know.
And Season of the Witch.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I just got so mad all over again.
Yes.
Damn. I'm gonna stop talking about this because I'm just gonna talk myself into a rage.
But but you're right. Like I think because of the writing and the world that it's in, because I guess for me, it does justify like making dumb decisions because the whole thing is already so like campy and over the top that it's like, of course you're, not looking over your shoulder or not picking up a weapon or like going into the, mouth of the beast. It just seems like that's, a part of it. a part of the world, a part of the things. But any other likes and gripes you have, Jamie, about this?
I don't think so. But if someone says something, then I will hop
Chime
on and say
in.
something too.
Yes, absolutely. Jamie, you've already said all the things that I basically had on here. I just have it's a fun, oof, yes. I have it's a fun, gory ride, and this has to be a 3-picture minimum deal. It has to be. It needs to be opened up for like years to come. A new slasher on the horizon that could change however it needs to change, for the new state, the new set of kids and victims. Like, I feel like it's just it's a fun thing. And y'all know I love
Well,
a slasher.
here's
So
a
I
question
thought this
for
was
you.
good. Hmm.
Do you want Thanksgiving 2, or do you want like St. Patrick's Day or Earth Day? Like you know what I mean? Like what do you want
Groundhog
it
Day.
to do you want it to be more of a like anthology chain of holidays,
Mm,
or specifically about these characters again, or do you want like Thanksgiving in another city? Like
yes.
what would satisfy you the most? Same for you, Jamie.
Yeah, exactly what you said. The last thing you said, Brian. I was going to say what Halloween was trying to do but wasn't successful. Uh Mostly because of what they built up. I think that Thanksgiving could do with it just having a different event somewhere else, but on Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's still in like Plymouth or another like colony of like, the beginnings of America with the mask, I think that it could definitely work that way. So something different happening, but on Thanksgiving that's slasher related. And I'd be
Jamie.
fine.
I I mean, I think I'm interested in going down like the let's get a slasher for every holiday, no matter how obscure it is. I just think that's so funny. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think that there's so many ideas that you can come up with for whatever it is, and like commit where there's like enough like puns and kills that are all kind of thematic across whatever that holiday is.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I dig it. Arbor Day, make it work.
Yeah. Easter. And also like I'm perfectly okay. Also like obviously like that's like an ambitious dream for this one, but like
Mm.
if this was a standalone, this is a really fucking good standalone.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Like I mean, I remember Hulu put out, and I don't know if y'all ever saw it, but there's a movie called Pilgrim. That's a Hulu
Yeah.
original.
Well,
Oh
Hulu
yeah.
tried to
Why do
do
I know what that
exactly
is?
this, like
Right.
a different slasher thing for every holiday, and it
Right.
like to varying degrees of success.
Mm.
Yeah. But like you said, Brian, this is a great standalone. I think the other stuff just wasn't as well. No, it doesn't seem as if time was taken to map it out and make it, successful. But this Thanksgiving one really does. It does it up for me. So I personally would love all of the Thanksgiving all the time, everything. But yeah, Brian, what about your likes and gripes?
Sure. I loved this movie. I think that this is a new classic. I think this is iconic. I think there's so much about this that is truly perfect and super, super well done. I think all of the kills are wildly unique. I think they both balance the camp and the scares as well as the tension and the humor really, really well. I think that the acting is really good. I think that everybody in this movie is having a great time making this movie, from the crew to the cast. I thought the pacing of this movie was excellent, and I think that the opening could easily make like a top 10 best openings to a horror film, because the building of the tension and all of that, and it's not scary for the reasons that you think it's going to be scary. It's scary because the way that America handles capitalism now is scary, and you're waiting for something bad to happen, and you know something bad is going to happen, but like watching it happen and having seen this type of stuff on the news, maybe not to like that like wildly crazy degree in terms of like how people are being hurt, but I think that was really terrifying, and that like grounded aspect of the opening is kind of what really drew me in. And then obviously layered on top of that is the gore and the weird stuff that happens in that opening sequence. But I think that opening sequence is just really, really excellent, and playing on what we fear the most about Black Fridays, even though it's not technically Black Friday in the movie. My favorite kill by far, no question, was the diner waitress at the beginning.
Okay.
Because I think that a lot of it was super clever. I think that like putting her in the water and then like her getting stuck to the freezer was really awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that her trying to swipe her phone but the blood wouldn't let her, and then when she's trying the face recognition wouldn't work because half of her face was off, and then she can't find her keys, like she, you know, the fact that she didn't even look for her keys before she left, like all of that stuff, and then all of that capped off with her being cut in half, which is like semi unrealistic but hilarious. I just thought that whole sequence was so well done, and I think that to me that was like a perfect microcosm of like the macro of how this movie balances everything. Also with like the little details. Something else I liked about this movie, and another movie from this year handled it really well, which was Influencer on Shudder, which is really good if you didn't watch it. I think this one handles social media in the world really well. I like the idea that he was tagging them in the Instagrams. I like all of that stuff, and I think it worked its way into this movie in a very natural way. It didn't feel forced. I feel like a lot of times social media or technology in movies feels super forced just to move the plot along, whereas in this one, even though it does move the plot along a little bit, it definitely makes us more connected to kind of what this world is, how these kids are using Instagram and social media and stuff like that. So I really appreciated that aspect of it. I agree with you. The accents are really fun. All of that stuff, a perfect amount of puns. I just, even the little things of like, you know, her dad didn't have to like be Russian or whatever Eastern European language they were speaking. Yeah, like all of that was super funny and added to kind of like just the quirkiness of this movie, that he's listening to the opera and the classical music in his ears.
Yes.
Like all of that stuff was really good. You know, and that whole scene when she gets the corn cob pieces in her ears. Like that whole sequence is about sound.
Oh my god, her with the close up on the eye. That's actually that part is when I turned away even before the corn cob happened, because like I forgot that they actually show that in the trailer, but she's like poking her eyeballs and like cleaning out her ears, and I was like, oh, like make it stop. I don't know what's gonna happen. I hate it.
All of that was
terrible.
great. I thought the chase sequence, the whole sequence with the stepmother and the chase throughout the historical home was really good. I think that the parade stuff was awesome. When the Mayflower goes through his face and his nose is dangling.
God.
And the little kids are like, Grandpa.
Oh, it was amazing. Also, I love that he was wearing the clown costume to to subvert your expectations in the parade. I thought all of that was really good. I think that the movie was super fun. Man, I love a good turning a live stream on the bad guy. That is to me always so satisfying. When she and the whole line where it's like, you know what I'm thankful for? That this place has good service. And then she shows you the thing. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted from this moment. It was so deeply satisfying. I love that everything that the script brings up, the fact that she fired a musket before, the fact that like
Yep.
she had the charms on her bracelet
Yes.
that ended up getting caught on the thing, but in the end her mom ends up saving them by like stuffing all of that into the musket, and that being the
Which is better than the candle blowing in
Yes.
the Boogeyman spoilers.
Agreed.
So much better.
100%. I thought that was all super fun. I thought this movie was a banger and a half. I will watch this every November if I can. I think this is a spectacular movie. So I do have. Oh yeah.
Oh, no, sorry.
No,
I was
no,
gonna
no,
say,
no.
and bare minimum, the black guy lives, and I was very happy about that because I thought he was gonna die.
Oh,
He was really good.
Nikisha.
Yes.
I'm
That's
happy with our final boy and
With our
girl.
final-
and
Me
I
too.
guess
Yes, yes, yes,
like
yes.
the dad survived.
Yeah.
And Addison
Yeah.
Rae. I guess
Oh.
girls, because Addison
Yeah.
Rae survived.
Yeah. I felt like there were a good amount of survivors and it didn't feel weird in any way. I thought that when the dad throws up when he's gagged.
Great moment.
A
Oh,
great
God.
moment.
Great moment.
Great.
Yes.
And the one friend that you wanted to die actually died.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
So that was like so that was super cool. I really liked. So I was expecting the sequence on the trampoline, like we saw in the trailer, for
Yeah.
her to land on the knife with her
Coochie.
her
Fucking say that. Oh my god. I am shocked. I am shocked. Out of all the words, we both said the same fucking thing. Because I think I said this to Brian when
did.
we walked out.
I
of
was
the
gonna
theater,
say-
and I also used the word coochie.
I was gonna say her nookie machine, but
Oh no!
No.
but
I'm so happy you said Gucci.
but I'm glad. I'm actually super glad that the movie decided to. I'm super blurry if you're watching on YouTube. I'm so sorry.
What's happening?
I'm super happy that the I'm super happy that the that it was an Achilles thing, because that still freaks me out, but I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting the split, because she does do the split at the beginning of that sequence. So I thought that was like a really good change in general. I really, really enjoyed this. I thought that the lead who played Jessica, I think.
Yeah, Jessica.
I thought she was excellent. I saw her. I used to watch that John Stamos Disney Plus show where he's like the girls' basketball coach. She's in that.
Oh, is that what
pretty-
she's in?
Yeah, she's good in that
Oh.
too. Anyway, I really, really like this movie. I did have two gripes about this movie. The first gripe is I think Jessica forgives Bobby way too quickly. In that sequence, he's been gone for a year. They were dating hot and heavy. He ghosted her, even though I can understand why that she understand. Like I understand.
Why did you say hot and heavy?
I don't know. That's I don't know.
Why are you talking like a 50-year-old man who's like talking to his teenager?
I don't know.
Screaming.
They seem to have a strong relationship, and then he ghosts her, and then he comes back without saying anything. Like that just and then she forgives him. Like I understand there's some empathy where like his whole life was technically ruined by that night, and like he may blame her because it was her dad's store and all of that. But like at the end of the day, like she deserved. She seemed like a character who understands her worth. Therefore, I felt like she should have been in that world. I feel like she would have felt like she deserved more of a like explanation instead of like a full year of never hearing from this person.
Right.
It felt like she forgave him too quickly so that he can be involved in the plot faster. Like it felt unnatural that she would say like, hey, my dad has these files, and just like straight up tell him in that moment. That felt weird. However, I let it go because I was already enjoying the movie so much. And then I also don't think that she would have stayed with Ryan at the end. He just proved
Same.
himself.
Yeah, he's
Even
tough.
though he wasn't the killer, and both him and Bobby were used as red herrings, and like I don't know. Like, one, I liked Bobby better than her, even though Bobby like ghosted her in general, and like Bobby ended up being the hero, like along with her,
Right.
in some ways. Um, but Ryan just felt like Ryan handled himself in a really obnoxious way the whole time. Even though he comes off early in the movie as like, even I would say, like when he's trying to woo her friends with like the Patriots Steelers tickets and stuff like
Hmm.
that, like he comes off as trying, he comes off as like super empathetic and excited to be dating her, and like it's not a competition anymore. However, he just like turns into this like very privileged like upper middle class rat fink. And
Right.
I don't know why I said rat fink. but
50-year-old
and
man.
yeah, and he had like that gold Rolex or whatever he was wearing, and like he came
Hmm.
off like her dad in some ways, and maybe that's where, maybe that's the psychological aspect of it, that like she's weirdly dating her dad in some ways and stuff like that. But like
Hmm.
it just didn't feel natural for her to go back to him at the end, when like he had just proven himself to not be as mature as maybe she
Right.
thought he was. Whereas,
Yeah.
not that Bobby did either. I mean, quite frankly, she should have ended up with none of those jabronis. She's better than both of those jabronis. But like
Mhm.
that just felt off to me. So basically, anything with Bobby and Ryan felt a little bit off to me. But like again, that really didn't distract me from the movie and what was going on, because the friendships were exciting and felt real, and the friendships felt lived in. Even with their dumb decisions, especially at the beginning, that she would kind of go along with that and all of that. But like that felt more real than anything than the other stuff. So I totally accepted that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my only real grab. I think the weak part of this movie was the Bobby Ryan stuff by far.
Hmm.
That reminds me of a gripe that I did kind of have, but it goes back to what Jamie was talking about of peopling
Mhm.
in the world. And one thing that kind of distracted me or just made me think like, would I do that? Was a lot of the times people were dying right in front of them, and they were just wide-eyed, like just watching it and like not doing anything, like not shielding their
Mm,
eyes, not whatever. And so it just like made me think, especially when what Yulia gets like on the little table saw or whatever, and like blood is just like splattering in their faces, and they're just like
sure.
watching the whole thing. And then it's like, okay, well, I know there's the phrase of like a train wreck, like you can't take your eyes off of it. But it was also just kind of like, really, are we just going to sit here and just watch like all these people get kind of like torn apart and bloodied up and
Yeah.
die
But
and
that's
like not?
like part of the like shtick that I feel like also channeled the original trailer. Like
Sure.
Okay.
going back to the trailer, where that woman's in the car with, it happens to be Eli Roth actually, in the driver's seat, and she like goes to give him, head, and then he loses his. Like that type of
Genius.
moment where then she's just like, first of all, you hear her swallow and then she screams, which is repulsive and hysterical. But the like her reaction, and then going to the other guy and he's like, don't worry, I'm here now, and they immediately start making out. Like that whole vibe is what I feel like that scene of them watching Yulia get like sliced up and like not moving, and they're just like,
Fair.
like it's just like,
Yeah.
so it's like horrified but also like borderline like so ridiculously stupid and silly.
Sure.
And like like there's like a moment, if it goes on any longer, it's like, okay, now this is just like stupid, and it's
Yes.
like just
Okay.
it's like cutting it off like just at the moment where it's like, okay, maybe they're in shock, but it is kind of this like fine line between both of those things. And like the longer it is, also like it's like horror comedy, the longer it goes on for, the funnier it is, and it like loses the impact of how scary it is. And so you have to
Yes.
kind of like edit it with like the perfect timing if you want it to kind of like have a little bit of a comedic moment, because
Right.
it's so ridiculous that it's happening, but
Mhm.
still hit and then like continue on with like, oh my god, they're like traumatized from this moment.
Right.
Yeah, and I think in contrast to that, um, Scuba holding her and like saying, "Jessica, I don't know what to do." like felt very real but funny at the same time.
Because it was so genuine. Like the actor
Yeah.
was so genuine when he said it,
Just
and
Oh,
it came off
what do
that
I
way.
do?
Like, yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah, that felt like a Chrissy wake
I feel like an
up
evil
moment.
person.
Chrissy,
Yeah,
wake
it
up!
did.
Yeah. Oh, one of my likes in any movie is when someone has a unique and cool nickname. Like his last name being like Diving or whatever it is that sounds like diving, therefore his nickname is Scuba. Like I love
It was
stuff like that.
funny.
Yeah.
It was cute.
Like
It was very
in
cute.
like in Dazed and Confused, the character's last name is Floyd, so they all call him Pink. Like I love that kind of stuff. But I did have and maybe I just didn't understand it. But I did think that when they were going to get the guns at the party, like I thought that was really fun and funny and all of that, like that whole that whole like subplot was pretty hilarious. My question is, what was the point of that? Was that just to like continually bring up the fact that she had used that type of gun before? Because in the end, like he didn't really like use the gun at all. You know what I mean? Like the gun never came back. And then I guess like it helped that like he gave her the ring and like that like tied all of that in. I get that, but them going to get the gun felt like very empty in the end because he didn't really use it. There was either the safety was on or like he didn't have any ammo or whatever the case was in that scene where he couldn't shoot the guy, shoot John Carver. That just felt a little bit. I don't know if that fully landed for me outside of the fact that it was setting up her getting the ring and her knowing how to like how to set up a musket essentially.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah, I didn't even I forgot all about the gun, and I guess that's to your point of like it didn't really land. It wasn't like super important to the story, like just the ring.
Yeah. But yeah, still great. Good job, everyone involved.
Good job, everyone.
Good job, movie.
Great, gorgeous gowns. Fantastic. Is that all everyone has to say about likes and gripes before we move on?
I think so.
I think so.
Fantastical. Well, let's go on to our next section of brains. Ooh, so many not brains, but intestines all around. Yes. Okay, Jamie, here's the first question. A bit of a doozy of a question, but in your opinion, what do you think are the effects of capitalism on the working class's mental health? I want you to speak for the entirety of the world.
Bomb on you. I mean, I think that the effects are great and like heavy, big, large, impactful.
Yeah, not like great.
Not like
good
they're
job.
super duper.
Yeah.
Serotonin and dopamine all around.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, I think that the effects of capitalism on like all classes is continuing to cause a lot. Like we're in late stage capitalism now, and like it's not like also thinking about, finances and socioeconomic status, like all of these things also I think impact mental health on a regular basis. Like it's one of the many things that I think is impacting mental health on a regular basis. Like one of the approaches to working with people that I think about is like person and environment. So it's like not just the individual and like whatever mental health things that they might be coming in with, but it's also like what are the things around them, like their identity and like their support system and like the culture that they participate in and like all of these things that kind of make them that ultimately do influence not only them, but like their mental health and wellness on a regular basis. And like I think that, the influence of capitalism, the influence of of like climate change. Like all of these things are having an impact, a negative impact on our mental health. So I feel like that's the best I
Yeah.
can say without,
Without having a dissertation on the whole
Yeah.
subject matter,
Yeah.
point by
Sure.
point. Yes, yes.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
I hopefully that answers your question.
No, yes. I mean, it's a heavy question, but the whole like thematic is like capitalism in a sense. Of course, it's like slashers be slashing, but like
Mhm.
capitalism with the whole Black Friday now being on Thursday and will
Mhm.
probably be at the beginning of Thursday as opposed to now being late at night, and the impacts of that and people's greed and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
yeah.
mean, that's a good
And
point,
that's
Nikisha.
something also. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go for it.
Oh, there's a comment that the killer makes in the movie, almost differentiating between like our group of protagonists and the other people who participated who got killed. That the other people, he says, were just greedy. They were just greedy people who were participating. And so like I just think that that's an interesting thing, that like they still are penalized for participating in it, but they're
Right.
being penalized in a different way compared
Mhm.
to like our other players here. And again, if this is somebody who's like justifying his murder plan, but at the same time it's like, well, why is he like differentiating between these groups of people, that they were greedy and they were problematic in that space? This group of people he viewed as like privileged and flaunting that like their ability to get into the store early, and they were like, haha, I'm buying this iPhone, like all of that stuff. So yeah, just that everybody is the problem, right? It's not just
Yeah.
Sure.
it's not just like the the greedy
The people on
folks
top
that,
and
yeah.
yeah.
And it's greed across all levels. It's greed from
Yes.
the people who are shopping. It's greed from the store owner who's like, I'm opening this store on Thanksgiving Day. I don't fucking care that it's a holiday that people are spending with their family. I want to make money. So it's like
Right.
greed across, and like that's the impact of capitalism.
Absolutely. Because if people were like, fuck this, it's Thanksgiving, I'm not going to go out, then there will be no money to be made, right? So then there will be no need for it to be open on Thanksgiving. But because of, like you said, the different levels of greed, like you have those people who are like, oh, well, yeah, since it's a sale because I can't afford things full price, it just all becomes full circle. It's like, okay, well, then I'll just take the time to go on a holiday because I won't be able to afford this any other time because they're not going to give a sale like this at any other time,
Yeah.
So, yes. Brian, were you going to say something earlier?
Oh, I was just going to talk about the fact that you made a really good point in that Black Friday started out as, let's give people a discount so they can get started on their holiday shopping after Thanksgiving. And it keeps moving back and back and back and back. and that is a direct result, consequence, if you will, of people buying it and doing it and going online and doing all that. And so I think some companies, like maybe REI and stuff like that, are specifically closed on those like Black Friday weeks and weekends. And they say like, get outside, do something, like take a walk, go on a hike, like don't come to our store, like do something with your family. At least they used to do that. I don't know if that's still a thing or whatnot, but I always appreciated that. Like, even if that was a part of their marketing ploy for you to buy with them later that season, like, which it essentially is, that's fine, because I just like the idea that, like, you can do that. And I think things are definitely different because now you can order online without having to go in and get trampled. But like, still, it's still a similar concept. But
have you guys
yeah,
ever
I just thought that was
participated in it in Black Friday?
No.
Yeah. I think there might have been one time, but it was like late Friday night that we went to a Walmart just to like see what was happening.
Sure.
And it still was a fucking madhouse, even on Friday night,
Sure.
like
Oh yeah.
after everything had already started on Thursday in the morning. And I mean, I even remember like the news when it was like at midnight, when it was like, okay, now on midnight on Friday, everything is opening. And so people would be like waiting outside for that. And now it's like, okay, well, we'll just do it like when you're supposed to be having Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, come to our store, get, this fucking waffle iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Like the doorbusters, I feel like nothing's like that compelling. And plus, like
No.
now the holiday just like keeps like the holiday. That's stupid. The shopping deals continue to extend beyond just Black Friday. Like we have Cyber Monday.
Exactly.
We have Small Business Saturday, but also
Giving
like
Tuesday.
Amazon is
Giving
running
Tuesday,
deals.
yeah.
Amazon, eBay, Walmart, like Best Buy, all these Target, all their deals have started. Like
Yes.
pre-Thanksgiving. They're going to continue like through next week. So the appeal of like I have to get there at this time on this specific day is like not there anymore, because like you can still do that shopping from the comfort of your tushy being on your chair and not moving.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go online, order the stuff, or wait till Cyber Monday when they
Yeah.
release all this stuff then. So
Or like, do you really need some of this shit? That's what
That's
I'm saying
main.
to myself.
I mean, but also same, like that's the main thing. We're just trying to help you guys not
answer
get
is
trampled. You know, we just want you guys to survive the holiday. We don't want you to
Yeah.
get run over by
Don't
a
get
cart.
carvered.
Don't get carvered. Ugh, the carver. Okay, so one more question, Jamie. I have maybe two. So I would love to talk about the father and him being such a workaholic, and I would love to know if it was believable that the father would be so wrapped up in his work to the degree that he is, as a direct result of losing his wife. Because he does make the comment of like, after, or the daughter makes the comment of like, after she died, he just was so into work.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe because this movie is portrayed in the way that it is, but I think that that's a believable reason. Like, I think, again, kind of thinking about the impact that grief has, and, there's so many different ways that folks can react. I think some folks, like, we talk about avoidance and not wanting to think about disturbing things like death, for example. Like, I could see somebody being like, I'm going to throw all of my energy into something that allows me to not have to think about this. And for some people, that's work. That's very real.
Yeah. Fantastic. And then my last question is just about empathy. And can you talk about what can maybe cause empathy to be turned off in a person, or maybe some people just don't develop empathy? Just because I'm thinking about the father and the stepmother just having the sale anyway the next year, despite like people dying, and not taking a second to like reassess and evaluate because they still want monies.
Yeah. I mean, I think also, I definitely agree that, like, not everybody has empathy, which is a scary thought that I think about every so often. And I think that, like, like empathy is all about the ability to put yourself in someone else's situation. So if you're thinking about it from that lens, think about being this rich dad who is a business owner and is well off. He himself did not lose anybody, so like this has not impacted his world. This hasn't impacted him, so it's harder for him. Like this is where I find people's inability to empathize with others is like, some people cannot conceptualize what it's like for someone else because they themselves haven't experienced it. And so sometimes people gain empathy as a result of lived experience that hopefully doesn't have to happen for all people. That like you can still put yourself in somebody else's position, and you don't have to have lived through that experience to have empathy and compassion for somebody else.
Right.
But I do think that that's a blocker for many people. In terms of like how can empathy be turned off or be lost, I think that sometimes people who care for others significantly, but like don't turn that off ever,
Mm-hmm.
can then suffer from like compassion fatigue. So that's like that is a cost of being in a caring role, and not always having the ability to like kind of disconnect, and then it kind of looks similar to burnout.
Yeah.
So, and like, compassion fatigue is something that a lot of other helping professions struggle with, is like the like it impacts their ability to continue to do this work that requires a lot of empathy and compassion.
Yeah. I guess it's such a scary thing, like you said, like people can just not have it at
Mhm.
all. And
Mhm.
how do you operate in the world, like in society? It's just crazy to think about. And now that will haunt my dreams. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jamie.
you don't have to tell me twice how scary it is, and I think about it a lot because, like, thinking about, I mean, like the work that I do, yes, but also, in a past life when I worked primarily with like survivors of crimes, more specifically intimate partner violence.
Mm,
It's a lot of partners who like lack empathy, maybe even have some traits that like fall under the narcissistic umbrella, and like there's
yeah.
a lack of empathy there. People, the actual thing that keeps me up at night that I think about a lot is people who are in positions of power, I think often lack empathy. And it's
Yeah.
like, how did you get here? And like I think also like people don't consider empathy to be as valuable of a skill, because I think it falls under, like, I don't like this term, but like I think this is what people are colloquially calling like soft skills as opposed to hard
Mm,
skills. And hard
mm-hmm.
skills you can teach and learn more easily. Soft skills I think are much harder to like emulate and like train someone how to be empathetic. I think is really hard.
Yeah.
But I think that those skills are actually like so valuable, because like that's how you relate to other people, that's how you connect with people, and like that takes you such a long way compared to like uh, you know organizational skills, which like you can learn and figure out. No shame on people who are highly organized, but I think
Right.
that like empathy is a really Brian's like, huh? Don't worry, Brian, you also have empathy, so you have both, so you're doing
Right. You have
great.
nothing to worry about.
Nailed it.
Got it.
But yeah, and
I'm a
empathy is also
real
different
soft
from
boy.
sympathy. Oh God, what is, what? I'm done. We're done.
Ah! I love it.
I'm
Jamie's
done.
over it.
I'm good.
But great. Thank you. All great answers, Jamie. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now should we rotten tomato this?
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Rotten tomato.
This
Yeah,
bad
let's
boy.
wait. Jamie, where are you from?
Rotten tomato.
I'm from Rotten Tomato, London, England.
London,
England.
England. I will. Whenever anybody says London, I hear the General and Austin Powers in my ears saying London, England. I don't know why. That's just what happens in my brain.
Obsessed.
All right, shall we?
Yes.
All right. What do you think this movie has on Rotten Tomatoes? Whoever wants to go first is allowed.
I'm gonna say 88.
All right, Jamie.
I was gonna say 84.
This has an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. The
Nice.
audience score is a 78, so pretty on target there. The critics' consensus reads, combining belly-busting humor with delightfully over-the-top gore, Thanksgiving is a feast for Grindhouse fans.
Nice.
Yeah,
I can see that.
definitely. Now let's do Letterboxd. What do you think that people rated this on Letterboxd? Again, as a reminder, Letterboxd is out of 5, and you can do decimal points.
3.7.
Okay, Nikisha?
3.5.
It has a 3.4.
Damn. I
Yay!
was really hoping my 4 stars would boost that up.
Yeah, I know. I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd too. You can find our Letterboxd links in the description of this episode. But yeah, that's really great. Cool. Should we do the 4 S's?
Yes.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
The 4 the 4 S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. Skulls, how well it handled mental health and human behavior. Scares, how scary was it? Shakes, are you gonna shake it off? Is this a one and done type of thing? And then we'll get into suggestions. We rank everything 1 through 10. Jamie, why don't you go first?
So for Skulls, I give this a 5 because I think that people are pretty silly in this movie. But again, like I really love this movie. So this is just like my rating based on like how human realistic people were acting. For Skulls, I gave this a 5. There were some jump scares that like really got me, even though I like knew that they were coming, which again I think goes to what Brian
A 5
was
for
saying
scares.
earlier. Yeah. Did I say that?
I think you said skulls, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, 5 for scares. I think that even when I knew that a jump scare was going to happen, it still happened like a couple milliseconds faster than I was anticipating. Like I've gotten so used to the James Wan slow build of a jump scare that like
Tension
Eli
building.
Roth was like pop 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 pop, and I was like oh my god like oh my god, like I was like slow down, but I was like no, like it's still getting me. So like there was something about the delivery that kind of just like came a little bit faster, even though I knew like this is a moment where like the thing is gonna happen, which I thought was really great and subverted my jump scare expectations. And then for shakes, I'm gonna give this an 8. Like I said, I love Grindhouse. I'm so happy that things keep coming out of that. And I have so many fond memories. It reminds me of being a young person who like was discovering their love for horror movies for the first time. And yeah, I just hope maybe less hobo with a shotgun. We'll see what else comes out of the the trailers that they made. Maybe a whole new Grindhouse double feature. Who knows? But yeah, this is really memorable for me.
Cool.
Nice.
Nikisha?
Yeah, I'm going to give Skulls a 6 because they're operating in their world, I think, pretty well. So I'll do that. For Scares, I am also going to give it a 6.
Oh.
Mostly because of the gore and not because I was particularly scared. It was just like I was not expecting it to be that gory, and that was a great surprise. And I'll add that to the scare factor. And then for Shakes, I'm going to give it a 7. I really enjoyed it, and I would absolutely watch it again, and I probably will watch it again soon.
Nice. I gave it a 5 for Skulls for the same reasons that you both did. I gave it a 3 for Scares. And I gave it an 8 for Shakes. This is really, really good. This is easily in my like top 5 of the year so far.
Nice.
And then suggestions. Let's go same order. Jamie, let's start with you.
I mean, I'm suggesting Grindhouse. I think
Sure.
if you have not seen the double feature, it is definitely worth a watch.
What's
I
the
don't
name of
even
it again?
know-
Sorry, Jamie. The
Yeah,
two
no.
movies.
It's Planet Terror, which is the Robert Rodriguez
Terror, okay.
film, and then Death Proof, which is the Quentin Tarantino film.
Got it. Thanks.
And I don't know. I don't know if you look it up to stream, if you have to look them up separately, if you look up Grindhouse as a whole, if you could even watch like the whole thing.
Mhm.
All of the trailers are on YouTube, so even if you can't like find it all collectively together, you can find all of them online anyway.
Great.
Nikisha?
Wonderful. Just because it's Thanksgiving themed, and I mentioned it earlier, the movie Pilgrim, just because it's on Hulu.
Oh, yeah, sure.
If you just want some more Thanksgiving horror in your life, that one's definitely going to be more disappointing, but still horror Thanksgiving themed.
Cool. For me, if you want another pretty good slasher that I really enjoyed this year, Scream 6.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like new slashers. If you want an old slasher on a weird holiday, try April Fool's Day from the 80s. That's a wild movie.
Okay.
So check that out. But yeah, that's all.
Grand. Well, I think that wraps up our episode of Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hopefully
Happy
you're not too
Thanksgiving.
turkeyed out. And save some leftovers for the next day. You can find us on all social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, at Talk Horror Pod, Pod. And Brian, where can they listen to us?
Sure, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. So we are on Spotify. You can, of course, find us on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And then, of course, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, you got to leave us with all the quotes, man.
Oh, yeah, sure. So the 2 quotes I have for this one are, if we let the police handle this, we're going to be... No, I read that totally wrong. Let's retake that. If we let the police handle this, we're all going to be 50% off.
Yes.
And then, of course, this year there will be no leftovers.
Love it.
So good.
You got to do voice work, Brian. You got to find a way.
I have 4 podcasts. I do voice work every week.
It's like I already know. You should do animated
I'll do
voice
it.
work.
This
I know.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, Thanksgiving, whatever holiday you're deeply afraid of.
Love it. Obsessed with it. Grand.
Next
Thanks,
Arbor
guys.
Day, the trees are alive.
Yeah, isn't
There
that
you
the
go.
happening?
That is the happening. Spoiler alerts for the happening, I guess.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.